They said she was crazy. They said the rifle was a relic. They said no woman could make a shot that even their best marksman had missed 3 times. But when the fog rolled in over the Chesapeake Bay that October morning, Sergeant Maya Mistwalker Reeves proved that some legends are born from the impossible. Maya Reeves wasn't supposed to be here. Born in the misty mountains of Asheville, North Carolina, she grew up in a cabin where the fog was so thick you could barely see your hand in front of your face. Her father, Colonel James Reeves, retired U.S. Marine Corps scout sniper, had taught her something the modern military had forgotten. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. The M1 Garand rifle hanging above their fireplace wasn't just a decoration, it was a teacher. While other kids played video games, 8-year-old Maya learned to feel the weight of history in her hands. Her father would wake her before dawn, and they'd walk into the Appalachian mist together. "Maya, girl," he'd say, his voice barely above a whisper. "The mist doesn't hide your target. It reveals your patience." He taught her to breathe with the fog, to move like smoke, to see what others couldn't. The M1 Garand became an extension of her body. She learned its quirks, its rhythm, the distinctive ping when the on-block clip ejected. While modern snipers relied on technology, Maya learned to rely on instinct. When she was 16, her father died suddenly from a heart attack while hiking their favorite trail. The morning mist had been particularly thick that day, as if the mountains themselves were mourning. At his funeral, with full military honors, Maya stood rigid in the rain, clutching the folded flag. She made a promise to the mist, to her father, to herself. She would carry his legacy forward. But the path wasn't easy. When Maya enlisted in the U.S. Navy at 19, she faced immediate skepticism. Boot camp in Great Lakes, Illinois was brutal. The other recruits looked at her like she was lost. "You sure you're in the right place, sweetheart?" The drill instructor had sneered during her first week. "The Navy needs sailors, not mountain girls playing with antiques." Maya said nothing. She simply outperformed everyone in her division. Navigation, perfect scores, physical training, top 5%, weapons qualification. She shot expert with every weapon they handed her. But it wasn't enough. The whispers followed her everywhere. "She's just lucky. Wait until real pressure hits. Women don't have what it takes for special operations." After completing her initial training, Maya applied for the Navy's Advanced Sniper Program, a brutal selection course that broke even the toughest sailors. Out of 120 candidates, only 12 would graduate. The odds were against her from day one. The selection took place at Naval Special Warfare Training Facility in Coronado, California. The moment Maya arrived with her sea bag and her father's M1 Garand in a locked case, the joke started. "Is that thing from a museum?" One candidate laughed, a tall man from Michigan named Kowalski. "Does it even fire?" another asked. Chief Petty Officer Marcus Holt, the head instructor, a weathered Navy SEAL with 23 years of service, looked at the rifle case with disdain. "Reeves, this is a modern warfare course. That relic belongs in a display case, not on my range." Maya met his eyes, her voice calm and steady. "With respect, Chief, my father taught me that a weapon is only as good as the shooter. I'd like the chance to prove that." Chief Holt's jaw tightened. "This isn't about sentiment, Reeves. This is about mission success. You'll use our equipment like everyone else." "Yes, Chief," Maya replied. But she kept the rifle case with her, locked in her barracks locker. At night, when the other candidates were sleeping, she'd carefully clean it, running her fingers over the wood stock her father had touched thousands of times. The first 2 weeks were designed to break them. 20-hour days, 4 hours of sleep, constant physical and mental pressure. Candidates dropped like flies. By day 10, they were down to 32 candidates. Maya was still there, silent, focused, pushing through every challenge. But the real test came on day 15, the unknown distance shot qualification. Each candidate had to identify and engage targets at various unknown distances from 400 to 1,000 meters. Wind speed was variable, weather conditions harsh. They had 3 attempts to hit 5 targets. Miss more than one, you're out. The first candidate stepped up, Lieutenant Derek Morrison, a cocky SEAL from Virginia Beach with multiple deployments. He was the odds-on favorite to take top honors. He settled behind the Navy's standard M1 semi-automatic sniper rifle, adjusted his scope, controlled his breathing. First shot, hit. The target at 420 meters went down. Second shot, hit. 610 meters. Third shot, hit. 740 meters. Then came target 4, partially obscured by a berm at 890 meters, with a gusting crosswind. Morrison took his time, calculated the wind, adjusted his scope. He fired. The bullet struck low and right. Miss. He had one more chance. He steadied himself, fired again. Another miss, this time high and left. The wind had shifted mid-flight. 2 misses, Morrison. "You're out," Chief Holt announced coldly. Morrison's face went white. "Chief, give me another chance. The wind." "The enemy doesn't give second chances, Lieutenant. Pack your gear." One by one, candidates stepped up. One by one, they failed. The fourth target was impossible. The wind was too unpredictable, the distance too far, the angle too difficult. By the time 20 candidates had tried, all 20 had failed. Some hit 4 out of 5, most hit 3, none hit all 5. Chief Holt's frustration was visible. This was supposed to be the elite of the elite, and his course was destroying them. He needed someone to make this shot, to prove his training methods worked. Then it was Maya's turn. She stepped to the firing line with the standard M110 rifle. She took her position, controlled her breathing, began her calculations. The wind was swirling, unpredictable, almost alive. First target, hit. Second target, hit. Third target, hit. Then came target 4. Maya settled in, feeling the wind on her face, watching the mirage through her scope. She squeezed the trigger smoothly. The bullet sailed through the air and... miss. Just inches to the left. She had one more chance. She adjusted, fired again. Another miss, this time right. The wind had betrayed her. 2 misses, Reeves. You're out, Chief Holt said, and there was almost satisfaction in his voice. I told you, sentiment doesn't belong here. Maya stood up slowly, her face unreadable. She looked at the failed target in the distance, then at Chief Holt. Chief, request permission to make one final attempt. Denied, Reeves. You had your chances like everyone. With my father's M1 Garand, Maya interrupted quietly. Sir. The entire range went silent. Chief Holt's eyes narrowed. This isn't a game, Reeves. This is about combat readiness. That rifle is the reason I'm standing here, Maya finished. Chief, every candidate has failed that shot with modern equipment. Give me one chance with the rifle that taught me to see through the impossible. If I miss, I'll leave quietly. No argument. Chief Holt stared at her for a long moment. The other candidates were watching, waiting. Finally he spoke. One shot, Reeves. One. You miss, you're gone, and you never speak of this again. Understood, Chief. Maya walked calmly to her barracks, retrieved the locked case, and returned to the range. The autumn sun was beginning to set, and a thick marine fog was rolling in from the Pacific Ocean. Perfect. She opened the case reverently, assembled the M1 Garand with practiced ease, and loaded an 8-round en-bloc clip. The distinctive metallic click echoed across the silent range. She approached the firing line as the mist swirled around her boots. Reeves, that fog's going to make this even harder, one candidate whispered. Maya smiled softly. No, it's going to make it possible. She settled into position, the M1 Garand feeling like home in her hands. She closed her eyes and heard her father's voice. The mist doesn't hide your target. It reveals your patience. She opened her eyes and looked through the iron sights. No scope, no rangefinder, just instinct, training, and trust. The fog drifted across the range like a living thing, and for a moment everyone thought she was insane. How could anyone hit a target they could barely see? But Maya wasn't looking at the target. She was feeling it. The way the wind moved through the mist. The way the temperature dropped as evening approached. The way her heartbeat slowed to match the rhythm of the ocean beyond the range. She took a breath, held it halfway. Her finger rested gently on the trigger, and fired. The distinctive boom of the M1 Garand shattered the silence. The bullet cut through the fog like a ghost. For 3 seconds nobody moved, nobody breathed. Then the spotter's voice crackled over the radio. Impact, center mass, target 4 is down. The range exploded with shocked murmurs. Chief Holt grabbed the spotting scope, confirmed the hit himself, then looked at Maya with something between disbelief and respect. "How the hell did you make that shot, Reeves?" Maya stood, safed her rifle, and looked at the chief with calm, misty gray eyes. "My father taught me that patience is the most powerful weapon, Chief. Modern equipment is incredible, but it can't teach you to breathe with the wind. That's something you have to earn." Chief Holt was silent for a moment, then nodded slowly. "Reeves, welcome to advanced sniper training. Don't make me regret this." As Maya walked off the range with her father's rifle, one candidate whispered to another, "Did she really just make an 800-meter shot through fog with a rifle from World War II?" "Yeah," the other replied, shaking his head in awe. "I think we just saw a ghost walk." From that moment on, Maya Reeves earned a new call sign, Mist Walker, and her legend was only beginning. The next morning arrived with cold Pacific wind and the sharp voice of Chief Petty Officer Marcus Holt cutting through the pre-dawn darkness. "Up! Up! Up! You have 2 minutes to be standing on that grinder in full gear. Move!" Maya rolled out of her rack instantly, muscle memory from boot camp kicking in before her mind fully woke. Around her, the remaining candidates scrambled into their camouflage uniforms, laced boots, grabbed rifles and gear. The barracks was chaos, except for Maya's corner, where every piece of equipment was already staged, organized, ready. She dressed quickly, efficiently, her father's training echoing in her mind. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Within 90 seconds, she was standing at attention on the grinder, the concrete courtyard where the Navy forged its warriors. Chief Holt walked the line slowly, inspecting each candidate with hawk-like intensity. 28 candidates left, he announced, his voice carrying across the silent formation. "By the end of this week, I expect half of you will be gone. Advanced sniper training isn't about shooting. It's about thinking. It's about patience. It's about making the right decision when everything is wrong." He stopped in front of Maya, looking down at her from his 6'3" frame. "Reeves, yesterday you made a shot that impressed some people. Don't let it go to your head. One good shot doesn't make you a sniper. Consistency does. Discipline does. Proving you can do it again when lives depend on it. That's what makes you worthy of this program." "Yes, Chief," Maya responded crisply. "We'll see," Holt muttered, moving down the line. The day began with PT, physical training designed to exhaust them before they ever touched a rifle. 4-mile beach run in soft sand, obstacle course 3 times through, log PT with telephone poles that weighed over 200 pounds. Maya gritted her teeth and pushed through every evolution, staying in the middle of the pack, fast enough to show competence, not so fast as to draw attention. She'd learned that lesson early. Standing out invited scrutiny, and scrutiny from instructors meant they'd look for any reason to drop you. After PT came classroom instruction, ballistics, meteorology, range estimation, target identification. Maya absorbed everything like a sponge, taking meticulous notes. The instructor, a grizzled Marine Corps gunnery sergeant named Diaz, taught them how to calculate bullet drop, wind drift, Coriolis effect, air density changes with altitude and temperature. "A sniper who doesn't understand the science will eventually fail," Diaz lectured. "You can be the best shooter in the world, but if you don't understand why your bullet does what it does, you're just guessing, and guessing gets people killed." During the lunch break, Maya sat alone at the edge of the chow hall eating quickly. She preferred solitude, especially here. Most candidates formed small groups, bonding over shared misery. Maya kept her distance, not out of arrogance, out of focus. "Mind if I sit?" a voice asked. Maya looked up to see Petty Officer First Class Rachel Torres, one of only 2 other women in the course. Torres was Coast Guard, a rescue swimmer who'd cross-trained into tactical operations. She had the build of an athlete and the eyes of someone who'd seen real danger. "Free country," Maya replied neutrally. Torres sat anyway, studying Maya with curiosity. "That shot yesterday was incredible. I've never seen anything like it. How'd you learn to shoot like that?" "Practice," Maya said simply. Come on, it was more than that. Nobody makes an 800-meter shot through fog with iron sights on their first try. That's savant-level skill. Maya set down her fork and met Torres's eyes. My father was a Marine Scout sniper. He started teaching me when I was 8. By the time I was 16, I could hit moving targets at 600 meters in rain, fog, or full dark. It's not savant skill. It's 10,000 hours of repetition until the rifle becomes part of you. Torres whistled low. 10,000 hours. Damn. Most of these guys have maybe a few hundred hours behind a long gun, tops. Then they'll fail, Maya said bluntly. Not because they're not capable, because they haven't put in the time. You sound pretty confident for someone who almost got dropped yesterday. Maya's expression didn't change. I didn't almost get dropped. I knew I'd make that shot. How? Because I've made harder shots in worse conditions. Maya stood, picked up her tray. If you want to pass this course, Torres, stop worrying about everyone else and focus on your own performance. That's the only thing you can control. Torres watched Maya walk away, a slight smile on her face. Damn. Ice cold. That afternoon brought the stalking exercise, one of the most dreaded evolutions in sniper training. Candidates had to low crawl through 200 meters of open terrain, get within shooting range of instructors with binoculars and spotting scopes, take 2 shots without being detected, then exfiltrate without being seen. If the instructors spotted you, you failed. If your shots missed, you failed. If you broke vegetation or left obvious tracks, you failed. It was designed to be nearly impossible. Maya watched the first 3 candidates attempt it. All 3 were spotted within 50 meters. The instructors were merciless, calling out every mistake. Kowalski, you just crushed a bush with your boot. In a combat zone, you'd be dead. Fail. Martinez, your barrel's reflecting sunlight. Sniper 101, tape your glass. Fail. Jackson, you moved too fast. Snipers move like glaciers, not jackrabbits. Fail. When Maya's turn came, she took 15 minutes just studying the terrain. She noted every shadow, every patch of grass tall enough to provide concealment, every gully that might offer dead space from the instructor's observation posts. Then she moved. Not fast, not slow, deliberately. She became part of the landscape, low-crawling inches at a time, using vegetation for cover, timing her movements with wind gusts that rustled the grass. It took her 90 minutes to cover 200 meters. Chief Holt watched through binoculars, scanning the field repeatedly. Where the hell is Reeves? No visual, Chief, the spotter replied. She's out there somewhere. Keep looking. But Maya had already reached her firing position, nestled behind a fallen log, completely concealed. She slowly brought her rifle into position, lined up her first shot on the designated target, a silhouette 500 meters away. She controlled her breathing, waited for her heartbeat to slow, squeezed the trigger between heartbeats. The shot rang out. The target dropped. Hit confirmed, the spotter called. Chief Holt scanned frantically with his binoculars. I still don't have eyes on Reeves. Where is she? Maya remained motionless for 5 minutes, letting the instructors search. Then she lined up her second shot, adjusted for a slight wind shift, fired again. The second target dropped. Second hit confirmed, the spotter said, now sounding impressed. Maya waited another 10 minutes, then began her exfiltration, crawling backwards, erasing her tracks as she went, moving like mist through the grass. She reached the exfil point without ever being visually identified. When she stood up at the finish line, Chief Holt marched over, his face unreadable. Reeves, did you even attempt that exercise? Yes, Chief. We never saw you, not once. That's the point, isn't it, Chief? A ghost of a smile flickered across Holt's face. 2 perfect shots, complete concealment, flawless exfiltration. He paused. You've done this before, haven't you? My father used to make me stalk deer in the mountains. If the deer saw me, no dinner. I learned fast. Chief Holt nodded slowly. Acceptable performance, Reeves. But don't think this means you're special. Tomorrow's evolution will break you, just like it breaks everyone else. That evening, Maya was cleaning her father's M1 Garand in the armory when Lieutenant Derek Morrison walked in. He was the SEAL who'd failed the unknown distance shot the day before and been cut from the program. But apparently he'd been reassigned as an assistant instructor, which meant he had authority now. And he looked angry. Well, Morrison drawled, leaning against the doorframe. If it isn't the miracle girl and her museum piece? Maya didn't look up, continuing to run the cleaning rod through the barrel. Can I help you, sir? You know what I think, Reeves? I think you got lucky. I think that shot through the fog was a fluke. I think you're going to crash and burn, and when you do, I'm going to enjoy watching Chief Holt kick you out of here. Maya set down the cleaning rod and looked at Morrison with calm, steady eyes. Sir, with respect, what you think doesn't matter. What matters is performance. Yesterday I performed. You didn't. That's why I'm still a candidate and you're not. Morrison's jaw clenched. Watch yourself, petty officer. I'm an officer. I can make your life here very difficult. You can try, sir, but difficulty is just another form of training. Maya returned to cleaning her rifle. Was there something else? Morrison stared at her for a long moment, then pushed off the doorframe. You're going to fail, Reeves. Women don't belong in special operations. You're just taking up a slot that should go to a real warrior. After he left, Rachel Torres emerged from the shadows of the armory. That guy's a piece of work. He's scared, Maya said simply. Scared of what? Of being replaced, of becoming irrelevant, of the possibility that everything he believed about who deserves to be here might be wrong. Maya reassembled her rifle with practiced efficiency. Fear makes people cruel. You're pretty philosophical for a shooter. Maya smiled slightly. My father used to say that the best snipers are philosophers. We spend hours alone with our thoughts, waiting for the perfect moment. If you can't think clearly, you'll never shoot clearly. Your father sounds like he was an amazing man. He was. Maya's expression softened. He taught me that strength isn't about dominating others. It's about mastering yourself. When you control your emotions, your breathing, your thoughts, that's when you become truly dangerous. The next day brought the evolution Chief Holt had warned about, the stress shoot. Candidates would run 2 miles in full gear, complete an obstacle course, then immediately engage targets from multiple positions at various distances. Heart rate through the roof, muscles exhausted, hands shaking, and they'd have to make perfect shots. It was designed to simulate combat conditions, because in real combat, you never get to shoot from a nice, comfortable prone position with all the time in the world. One by one, candidates attempted it. One by one, they struggled. Kowalski hit 3 out of 10 targets. Martinez hit 4. Torres managed 6. Impressive considering she'd been shaking like a leaf. Then came Maya's turn. She ran the 2 miles hard, pushing her pace, hit the obstacle course with controlled aggression. By the time she reached the shooting line, her heart rate was over 180 beats per minute, sweat soaking her uniform. Reeves, engage targets on my command, Chief Holt barked. Ready, Chief. Target 1, standing, 400 meters, go! Maya dropped into a standing position, brought the rifle up, controlled her breathing despite her pounding heart. She found the target, squeezed smoothly. Hit. Target 2, kneeling, 600 meters, go! She dropped to a knee, adjusted for distance and wind, fired, hit. Target 3, prone, 800 meters, go! This was the killer. Prone position required lying flat, getting stable, but her heart was racing, her arms were shaking from the obstacle course, her lungs were burning. Most candidates fell apart here. Maya dropped prone, got behind the rifle, forced her breathing to slow. Breathe in for 4. Hold for 4. Breathe out for 4. Her father's voice in her head, calm and steady. She found the target through the iron sights, waited for her heartbeat to slow just enough, fired between heartbeats. Hit. She continued through all 10 targets, engaging from multiple positions, various distances. When the smoke cleared, she'd hit 9 out of 10, tied for the highest score so far. Chief Holt walked over as Maya stood, rifle at low ready. Not bad, Reeves. What happened on target 7? Wind shift, Chief. I didn't adjust fast enough. In combat, that's a missed shot on an enemy combatant who now knows your position. Yes, Chief. I'll do better next time. Holt studied her for a moment. You know what I've noticed about you, Reeves? You don't make excuses. You don't complain. You just perform. That's rare. He paused. But rare doesn't mean you're ready. You've got a long way to go before you earn the title of sniper. I understand, Chief. Good. Dismissed. As Maya walked back to the barracks, she passed Morrison, who was watching from the instructor's tower. He didn't say anything, but the look in his eyes said everything. He was waiting for her to fail, hoping for it, planning for it. That night, Maya lay in her rack, staring at the ceiling. Around her, other candidates were already asleep, exhausted from the day. She thought about her father, about the promise she'd made at his grave, about the weight of carrying his legacy. She thought about Morrison's words. Women don't belong in special operations. And she thought about Chief Holt's challenge. Rare doesn't mean you're ready. They were both right in a way. She was rare. And she wasn't ready. Not yet. But she would be. Because Maya Reeves didn't come here to be accepted. She came here to be undeniable. And tomorrow, she'd take another step toward that goal. Outside, the Pacific fog rolled in thick and cold. Maya smiled in the darkness. The mist was her ally. It always had been. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new tests, new opportunities to prove that some people are forged in the impossible. And Maya Mistwalker Reeves was one of them. Week 3 of advanced sniper training began with a death. Not a literal death, but close enough. Petty Officer Second Class David Chen, a candidate who'd made it through the first 2 weeks with solid performance, collapsed during a 12-mile ruck march. Heat stroke, dehydration. His body simply gave up. The instructors called it immediately, got him medical attention, and removed him from the course. By the time the remaining candidates returned to base, Chen was in the hospital, stable but finished. His sniper training was over. Chief Petty Officer Holt gathered the remaining 21 candidates in the classroom that evening. His expression was granite. Chen is fine. He'll recover fully, but his body broke before his mind did, which means he wasn't properly preparing himself. Some of you are probably thinking, that could have been me. You're right. It could have been. And if you're not taking care of yourself, hydration, nutrition, recovery, it will be you. He let that sink in before continuing. This week we moved to advanced fieldcraft and reconnaissance. You'll be operating in pairs, spending 72 hours in the field with minimal supplies, stalking mock targets, gathering intelligence, and ultimately taking simulated shots at high-value targets. Your partner's success is your success. Their failure is your failure. Maya's stomach tightened. She'd been operating solo this entire time, preferring isolation to collaboration. Now she'd have to trust someone else. Pair assignments are posted outside. You have 1 hour to meet your partner, plan your loadout, and prepare your gear. Trucks roll at 0400. Dismissed. Maya walked to the board with the others. She scanned the list, found her name, and felt her jaw tighten. Reeves, Maya, Morrison, Derek, of course. Of all the possible partners, they'd paired her with Lieutenant Morrison. The man who'd failed the course, held a grudge, and was now assigned as an assistant instructor with evaluation authority. This wasn't random. This was a test. She found Morrison waiting by the armory, arms crossed, expression smug. Well, Reeves, looks like we're partners. This should be interesting. Maya kept her voice professional. Sir, we have 1 hour to prep. I suggest we focus on mission success rather than personal differences. Morrison stepped closer, lowering his voice. Let me make something clear. I'm evaluating you on this exercise. Every decision you make, every movement, every shot, I'm grading it. And I have the authority to fail you if I determine you're not performing to standard. So I suggest you focus on following my lead and not screwing this up. Maya met his eyes calmly. With respect, sir, this is a partnership. We're supposed to work together, not establish a hierarchy. I'm an officer. You're enlisted. There's your hierarchy. Morrison turned toward the armory. Now let's prep gear. And Reeves, leave the antique rifle behind. This is a modern warfare exercise. The 72-hour field operation began in darkness. Trucks dropped the pairs at different locations, miles apart, with nothing but their gear, their wits, and a mission briefing. Maya and Morrison's objective: infiltrate to within 800 meters of a mock enemy command post, observe and report enemy movements for 24 hours, then execute a precision shot on a high-value target before exfiltrating undetected. The terrain was brutal, dense California woodland transitioning to rocky hills. They'd have to move during darkness, hide during daylight, and survive on minimal rations while maintaining constant vigilance. Morrison took point immediately, setting an aggressive pace. Maya followed, watching his fieldcraft with a critical eye. He was competent but rushed, breaking small branches, disturbing vegetation unnecessarily. Not fatal mistakes, but sloppy. After 2 hours of movement, Morrison called a halt in a small depression surrounded by brush. "We'll rest here for 30 minutes, then continue." Maya shook her head. "Sir, we're still too close to the drop point. If evaluators are tracking us, this is an obvious rest stop. We should push another click before stopping." "I didn't ask for your opinion, Petty Officer. We rest here." Maya bit back her response and took a drink from her canteen. "Fine." His call. 20 minutes later, she heard it, the soft crunch of boots on dried leaves. Someone was approaching their position. She touched Morrison's shoulder, pointed toward the sound. He heard it too, tensed. 2 evaluators emerged from the tree line, scanning the area with night vision. They walked within 15 feet of their position, but didn't spot them. After they passed, Morrison exhaled slowly. "Close," he whispered. "Too close," Maya replied. "They were checking obvious rest points. If we'd pushed forward like I suggested." "Enough, Reeves. We weren't spotted. That's what matters." They continued moving through the night, reaching their observation post by 0500 just before dawn. The position overlooked a valley with the mock command post 840 meters away, a small compound with several buildings, vehicles, and role players acting as enemy personnel. Maya and Morrison dug in carefully, creating a concealed hide site with natural vegetation. This would be their home for the next 24 hours. No movement, no noise, complete stillness while they observed and documented enemy patterns. The first 6 hours were manageable. They took turns observing through spotting scopes, recording enemy movements, noting shift changes, vehicle arrivals, communication patterns. Maya filled 3 pages of notes with precise details, times, numbers, descriptions, patterns. But by hour 8, tension was building. Morrison kept checking his watch, shifting position slightly, showing small signs of impatience. Maya remained absolutely still, breathing slowly, becoming part of the landscape. "How do you do that?" Morrison finally whispered. "Do what, sir?" "Not move. You've been in the exact same position for 4 hours. Practice. My father used to make me sit in deer stands for 12 hours without moving. Said if you can't control your body, you can't control your shot." Morrison was quiet for a moment. "Your father taught you a lot." "Everything, sir." "Must have been hard, losing him." Maya's expression didn't change. "It was, but it taught me that legacy isn't about what you inherit, it's about what you do with it." Morrison shifted again, uncomfortable. "That's philosophical." "Sniping is philosophy, sir. It's about patience, discipline, and making peace with stillness." As darkness fell on their first full day, the real test began. They had to maintain observation through the night while taking turns sleeping, but only in 1-hour intervals. The exhaustion would compound quickly. By hour 36, Maya noticed Morrison was struggling. His eyes were bloodshot, his movements sluggish. He'd taken the observation shifts during high-activity periods, trying to prove his competence, but it had drained him. "Sir, you should rest." "I'll take the next 4 hours." "I'm fine, Reeves." "With respect, you're not. We need you sharp for the shot tomorrow. Rest now while activity is low." Morrison wanted to argue, but he was too exhausted. "Fine. 4 hours. Wake me if anything significant happens." Maya took over observation, scanning the compound methodically. Around hour 40, she noticed something interesting. A pattern in the role players' movements. Every 6 hours, a vehicle arrived with someone important. Enhanced security, changed routines. She documented everything meticulously. When Morrison woke, Maya briefed him. "Sir, I think I've identified the high-value target. Black SUV arrives every 6 hours. Someone exits, enters the main building, stays for 90 minutes, then leaves. Enhanced security each time. Next arrival should be at 1500 hours tomorrow." Morrison studied her notes, impressed despite himself. This is good work, Reeves. Detailed. Actionable. He paused. You've been observing for 7 straight hours. You need rest. I'm fine, sir. That's an order, petty officer. Sleep. I've got the watch. Maya reluctantly closed her eyes, but sleep came easier than expected. Her body had learned long ago to rest when possible, conserving energy for when it mattered most. She woke 4 hours later to Morrison shaking her shoulder. Reeves, 1500 hours, black SUV just arrived. Target is entering the building now. Maya was instantly alert. She moved to the spotting scope, observed the compound. Sure enough, enhanced security, changed patterns, someone important inside. We take the shot when they exit, Morrison said. Probably 90 minutes from now. Start your prep. Maya nodded, began her pre-shot routine. She checked her rifle, a modern M1 SAS, not her father's Garand, verified the scope 0, calculated the distance precisely, 843 meters. Elevation 127 feet above target. Wind currently 5 miles. Continue our 11.9 per hour, gusting to 8, coming from the west-northwest. But something felt wrong. Sir, Maya said carefully, the wind pattern doesn't match historical data. It's been consistent west-northwest all day, but now it's starting to swirl. There's a weather system moving in. Morrison checked the sky. Clouds building, but we can't wait. Our window is when that target exits the building. We take the shot or we fail the mission. Agreed, sir. But we need to account for changing conditions. If the wind shifts mid-flight, I'm aware of the ballistics, Reeves. Just make the shot. 90 minutes later, the target emerged from the building. Morrison called it. Target identified. Prepare to engage. Maya settled behind the rifle, controlling her breathing. The wind had picked up, now gusting to 12 miles per hour, shifting between west and northwest. Not ideal conditions. She calculated the hold, adjusted her point of aim, felt the wind on her face. Send it, Morrison ordered. Maya squeezed the trigger. The shot broke clean. Through the scope, she watched the bullet sail toward the target, then drift left as a gust caught it. Miss. 6 inches wide. Damn it, Morrison hissed. Wind got you. Correction, sir. The wind pattern is unstable. I need another. Take the follow-up shot. Now. Maya adjusted, but the wind was now swirling unpredictably. She waited, feeling the air, searching for a lull. There, a moment of calm. She fired. Miss again, this time high. The wind had died completely for 2 seconds, and her correction had been too much. Ceasefire, Morrison ordered. We're compromised. Exfil now. They broke down their position rapidly, moved out under concealment. Behind them, role players were searching for the sniper position. They'd failed the mission. The hike back to the extraction point was silent. Morrison's frustration was palpable. When they finally reached the trucks at hour 72, Chief Holt was waiting. Morrison. Reeves. Mission results? Failed, Chief. Morrison admitted. Target engaged twice, both misses. Position compromised during exfil attempt. Holt turned to Maya. Reeves. What happened? Maya stood at attention. Chief, environmental conditions were deteriorating. Wind pattern became unstable due to incoming weather system. My wind calls were incorrect for the conditions. Did you advise your partner of the conditions before attempting the shot? Yes, Chief. Holt looked at Morrison. Did she? Morrison hesitated. She mentioned wind concerns. Did you listen? I made the command decision to take the shot during our available window. Holt nodded slowly. And your decision resulted in mission failure. Reeves, what would you have done differently? Maya chose her words carefully. Chief, I would have waited for stable conditions or repositioned to a location with better wind protection. Mission success depends on shot probability, not just shot opportunity. Lieutenant Morrison, do you agree with that assessment? Morrison's jaw tightened. In hindsight, yes, Chief. Hindsight doesn't save lives, Lieutenant. Foresight does. Holt turned to both of them. You're dismissed. Report to debrief at 1800 hours. As they walked back to the barracks, Morrison stopped Maya. For a moment, she expected another argument. Instead, he spoke quietly. You were right. About the wind. About waiting. I pushed for the shot because I wanted to prove something, and it cost us the mission. He paused. That's on me, not you. Maya nodded. Sir, we both missed. The responsibility is shared. No, Reeves. Leadership means owning the decisions. I made the call. I failed us. Morrison looked at her with something new in his eyes. Respect. You're a better shooter than me. Better at fieldcraft. Better at reading conditions. I've been fighting that truth since day one because admitting it meant admitting I was wrong about a lot of things. Sir, let me finish. I've been an ass to you, worse than an ass. I've been trying to break you because you challenged everything I believed about who deserves to be here. But watching you work these past 3 days, seeing your discipline, your skill, your professionalism, he shook his head. I was wrong, and I'm sorry. Maya was silent for a long moment. Apology accepted, sir. But respect is earned through action, not words. Show me you've learned from this, and we're square. Morrison extended his hand. Deal. They shook. It wasn't friendship. It wasn't even camaraderie yet. But it was a start. And sometimes, a start is all you need. That evening, Maya sat in the armory, cleaning her rifle. Rachel Torres found her there. Heard you and Morrison failed the field exercise. We did, Maya admitted. Also heard Morrison stood up for you in the debrief. Said the wind calls were his responsibility. Maya smiled slightly. He's learning. You're changing people, Mr. Walker. Morrison went from your biggest enemy to your advocate in 3 days. That's impressive. I'm not trying to change anyone. I'm just trying to prove that competence doesn't have a gender. Well, you're doing both, whether you mean to or not. Torres sat down beside her. We're down to 17 candidates now. 5 more dropped this week. Chief Holt says next week is the final test, the culmination exercise. Whatever we face, it's going to be the hardest thing yet. Maya nodded, running the cleaning rod through her rifle barrel. Good. I didn't come here for easy. Outside, thunder rumbled in the distance. The weather system that had complicated their field mission was moving in, bringing rain and fog. Maya looked out the armory window at the gathering mist and smiled. Some people feared the fog. Maya knew better. The fog was where legends were born. And next week, when the final test came, she'd prove once again that she belonged among the mist. Because Maya Mist Walker Reeves wasn't here to meet expectations. She was here to exceed them. And nothing, not doubt, not prejudice, not impossible conditions, would stop her from fulfilling the promise she'd made to her father. The storm was coming, and Maya was ready. The final week of advanced sniper training began with fog so thick you couldn't see 20 feet ahead. Perfect weather for an impossible mission. Chief Petty Officer Marcus Holt stood before the remaining 17 candidates in the briefing room, his expression unreadable as always. Behind him, a projection screen showed a satellite image of mountainous terrain along the California coast. Congratulations on making it this far, Holt began. 80% of candidates who started this course are gone. You 17 represent the top tier. But don't celebrate yet. This final exercise will determine whether you earn the title of Navy Sniper or go home empty-handed. He clicked to the next slide, a tactical map with multiple marked positions. Your mission, Operation Phantom Strike. You'll insert via helicopter into hostile territory, designated as this mountainous region 40 miles north of here. Your objective is to locate and eliminate a high-value target, a role player representing an enemy commander, who will be moving between 3 possible locations over a 48-hour period. Another click. More details emerged. Here's what makes this impossible. 1. The target knows you're coming and has counter-sniper teams actively hunting you. 2. Weather forecast shows deteriorating conditions, rain, fog, high winds. 3. You'll be working alone. No partners, no support. Just you, your skills, and your ability to adapt. 4. To successfully complete this mission, you must not only eliminate the target, but also evade all counter-sniper teams and reach the extraction point within the 48-hour window. The room was silent. Maya felt her heart rate increase slightly, not from fear, but from anticipation. Failure conditions, Holt continued. If you're detected by counter-sniper teams, you fail. If you miss your shot, you fail. If you don't reach extraction in time, you fail. If you violate any rules of engagement or safety protocols, you fail. He paused, scanning the faces before him. Questions? Petty Officer Kowalski raised his hand. Chief, what weapons are authorized? Candidate's choice, standard issue or personal weapon, provided it meets safety specifications. Maya's mind immediately went to her father's M1 Garand. She'd carried it through the entire course, had qualified with it, had made that impossible shot through fog on day 1. It was part of her now. One more thing, Holt added. This exercise is graded pass-fail. There's no curve. You either accomplish the mission or you don't. 17 of you are starting. I expect less than 10 will finish. Insertion begins at 0:30 tomorrow. You have 12 hours to plan, prep, and prepare. Dismissed. The candidates dispersed, each retreating into their own mental preparation. Maya returned to the armory, where her father's M1 Garand waited. She disassembled it completely, inspected every component, cleaned and oiled each piece with reverent care. Talking to it again? Maya turned to see Lieutenant Morrison standing in the doorway. Since their field exercise, his attitude toward her had shifted completely. He was no longer an adversary but something close to an ally. Just making sure she's ready, Maya replied. Morrison walked over, studying the vintage rifle. You're really taking that into the field, for the final exercise? I am. Reeves, Maya. Morrison caught himself, using her first name for the first time. That rifle is 70+ years old. No scope. Iron sights only. 8-round capacity. In bad weather against modern counter-sniper teams with thermal optics and advanced technology, you're putting yourself at a massive disadvantage. Or a massive advantage, Maya countered. They'll be scanning for modern heat signatures, scope glint, infrared signatures. They won't expect someone operating with World War II technology. Sometimes old school is the best camouflage. Morrison shook his head with a slight smile. You're either brilliant or crazy. I haven't decided which. Why not both? He laughed, a genuine sound. Fair enough. Look, I know I'm not going on this mission with you, but I wanted to say, whatever happens tomorrow, you've already proven yourself. To me, to everyone watching. You've earned respect. Don't feel like you have to do something reckless to prove a point. Maya met his eyes. I'm not proving a point. I'm honoring a promise. To my father. To myself. This rifle taught me everything I know. It seems fitting that it should be there when I finish what he started. Morrison nodded slowly. I get it. Just be smart out there and come back. The Navy needs snipers like you. After Morrison left, Maya finished reassembling the Garand. She loaded several 8-round en-bloc clips, packed her gear with meticulous care, and spent the evening studying the terrain maps and mission parameters. The insertion zone was rugged coastal mountains, dense forest, rocky outcrops, steep elevations. 3 potential target locations spread across a 12-square-mile area. She'd have to move fast to reach observation points, but not so fast that she compromised noise discipline. The weather would be her ally and her enemy. Fog would provide concealment but limit visibility. Rain would mask sound but make movement treacherous. High winds would complicate any long-range shot, but also disrupt thermal imaging. Maya plotted 3 possible routes, identified 2 primary observation points that would cover multiple target locations, and planned contingency exfil routes if things went wrong. Then she lay in her rack and slept. Not restless sleep, the deep, dreamless sleep of someone who's learned to rest before the storm. 0:30 arrived with the sound of helicopter rotors cutting through fog. The 17 candidates loaded into 3 helicopters, each dropping candidates at different locations. Maya's insertion point was a small clearing on a ridgeline overlooking the first target area. As the helicopter descended through thick fog, the crew chief gave her a thumbs up. Maya checked her gear one final time, slung the M1 Garand across her back, and prepared to fast rope down. The moment her boots hit the ground, the helicopter lifted and disappeared into the mist. She was alone. Maya immediately moved to cover, orienting herself with compass and terrain features. The fog was so thick she could barely see 30 feet. Perfect. She began moving downslope toward her first observation point, using the fog as concealment, moving slowly and deliberately. Every step was calculated. She avoided breaking branches, stepping on loose stones, disturbing vegetation unnecessarily. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. You're not moving through the forest. You're becoming part of it. After 3 hours of careful movement, she reached her first observation point, a rocky outcrop overlooking a valley where the first potential target location sat, a small cabin, supposedly where the high-value target might appear. Maya settled into a concealed position, became absolutely still, and waited. Hour 5, no movement at the cabin. Hour 8, rain began falling, cold and steady. Hour 12, still nothing. She knew this was part of the test. Patience. Many candidates would grow impatient, move prematurely, reveal themselves. Maya simply waited, sipping water sparingly, eating energy bars methodically, keeping her body temperature regulated. At hour 15, she heard it, the distant crack of a rifle shot, followed by another. Somewhere in these mountains, a candidate had taken their shot. Whether they hit or missed, she didn't know. At hour 18, movement near the cabin. 2 figures emerged, role players, but not the target, just decoys, designed to make candidates reveal their positions. Maya remained motionless. She'd memorized the target's description from the briefing photos. These weren't him. By hour 24, she made a decision. The target wasn't coming to this location. She needed to reposition to the second potential target area, a communications outpost 7 miles west. But moving in daylight was risky. She'd wait for darkness. As night fell, Maya began her movement. The rain had stopped, but the fog remained thick. She navigated by compass and terrain association, moving through the darkness like a ghost. 7 miles of mountain terrain in complete darkness. It took her 6 hours. She reached the second observation point, a tree line overlooking the communications outpost, just before dawn. And there, as morning light began filtering through the fog, she saw him, the target, moving between buildings with a security detail, range 920 meters, wind gusting, unpredictable, visibility limited by fog, shot difficulty extreme. Maya settled into position, controlling her breathing. She had 1 shot. If she missed, the target would go to ground, and she'd never get another chance. If she took too long, the counter-sniper teams would locate her. She calculated everything: distance, elevation, wind, humidity, temperature, the Garand's ballistics. No scope, just iron sights. She'd be aiming at a figure barely visible through the mist. This was the moment everything had led to. Every hour her father had spent teaching her. Every hardship she'd endured. Every person who doubted her. Every challenge she'd overcome. She thought about Chief Holt's words. 1 good shot doesn't make you a sniper. And Morrison's transformation. You're a better shooter than me. And her father's final lesson. The mist doesn't hide your target. It reveals your patience. Maya closed her eyes, breathed with the fog, became part of the mountain. When she opened her eyes, everything was clear. The wind, the distance, the moment. She waited. The target moved across an open space between buildings. For 3 seconds he'd be exposed. 3 seconds to change everything. Maya's finger rested on the trigger. Her heart beat slowly, steadily. She entered that timeless space snipers know, where the world narrows to breath, trigger, target. 2 seconds, she squeezed. The M1 Garand boomed, the sound echoing across the valley. Through the iron sights, Maya watched the target go down. The role player dropped immediately, following protocol for a confirmed hit. For a moment, everything was silent. Then chaos erupted at the outpost. Security teams scrambling, searching for the shot's origin. But Maya was already moving. She'd planned her exfil route carefully, a creek bed that would mask her tracks, leading to high ground where she could observe pursuit and adjust. She moved fast but controlled, using the terrain to her advantage. Behind her, she heard counter-sniper teams mobilizing. They'd use the sound of her shot to triangulate her approximate position. They'd be hunting her now. Maya climbed higher, using the fog as concealment. After 2 hours of movement, she found a defensive position and stopped to observe. Below, she could see teams searching the valley. They were good, professional, thorough. But they were searching for someone using modern tactics. Maya used her father's mountain tactics, moving along ridgelines where sound carried differently, using water to mask tracks, taking advantage of dead space and micro-terrain. She'd learned these skills hunting in the Appalachians, where one mistake meant going home empty-handed. Hour 36. She was 12 miles from the extraction point with 12 hours to get there. Doable, but she'd have to move through the night again, and the counter-sniper teams were still searching. She rested for 4 hours, conserving energy, then began her final push. The fog was lifting now, which made movement more dangerous. She had to use terrain masking and patience, moving in short bounds, freezing when she sensed danger. Hour 45, 3 hours from extraction, 3 miles to go. But between her and the extraction point, she heard voices. A counter-sniper team had set up an observation post directly on her route. Maya assessed her options. She could go around, but that would add 2 hours and might cause her to miss extraction. She could wait them out, but they showed no signs of leaving. Or she could go through. She remembered her stalking exercise, how she'd crawled 200 meters and never been spotted. This was the same principle, just higher stakes. Maya began her stalk, 1 foot per minute, sometimes slower, using every bit of cover, every shadow, every micro-terrain feature. The counter-sniper team was 200 meters away, scanning with binoculars and spotting scopes. It took her 90 minutes to cover 100 meters. Her muscles screamed, her heart pounded, but she breathed slowly, moved like mist, became invisible. She passed within 50 meters of their position. One observer looked directly at her location. Maya froze, controlling even her breathing. The observer scanned past her, saw nothing unusual, moved on. Once clear, Maya continued to the extraction point. She reached it with 40 minutes to spare, exhausted, soaked, but successful. The helicopter appeared exactly on schedule. As Maya climbed aboard, she saw other candidates already there. Kowalski, Torres, 3 others. Not all 17 had made it. Back at base, Chief Holt gathered the successful candidates. 9 had completed the mission. 8 had failed or been detected. "You 9 represent the best this course has to offer," Holt announced. "You've proven you have the skills, discipline, and mental toughness to operate as Navy snipers." But one candidate distinguished themselves beyond all others. He looked directly at Maya. "Petty Officer Reeves, your shot was confirmed at 920 meters through fog with iron sights, using a rifle most museums would be proud to display. Your exfil took you through active counter-sniper search areas without detection. Your fieldcraft was flawless." He paused. "That was the single most impressive sniper performance I've witnessed in 23 years of instruction." The other candidates looked at Maya with a mixture of respect and awe. Reeves, front and center. Maya stood at attention before Chief Holt. He extended his hand. "Welcome to the community, Sniper Reeves. You've earned it." They shook hands. For the first time since her father's death, Maya felt tears threatening. She fought them back, maintained her composure, but allowed herself a small smile. "Thank you, Chief. Don't thank me. You did the work. All I did was provide obstacles. You're the one who overcame them." Holt's expression softened slightly. "Your father would be proud. Hell, I'm proud. You've set a new standard for what's possible." That evening, the 9 graduates gathered informally outside the barracks. Rachel Torres raised a canteen and toast. "To Mist Walker, the sniper who proved that old school beats new school every time. To Mist Walker," the others echoed. Morrison approached Maya separately. "I owe you an apology that goes deeper than what I said before. I didn't just doubt you. I actively tried to break you because you threatened my worldview. You proved that competence doesn't care about gender, tradition, or anyone's expectations. You just are, and that's powerful. We all have biases, sir. What matters is whether we learn from them. I'm learning, thanks to you." Morrison extended his hand again. "I hope we serve together someday. I'd be honored to have you watching my 6. "Likewise, sir." As the group dispersed, Maya found herself alone under the stars. The fog finally cleared. She pulled her father's M1 Garand from its case, held it reverently. "We did it, Dad," she whispered to the night. "I kept my promise." Somewhere in the mountains of North Carolina, mist was rolling through the valleys her father had loved. And Maya knew somehow that he was watching, that he was proud, that the legacy he'd built wasn't about rifles or records. It was about honor, discipline, and proving that the impossible is just another word for not yet accomplished. Maya Mist Walker. Reeves had entered this course as a candidate with something to prove. She left as a Navy sniper with nothing left to prove, only a new mission ahead, new challenges to face, and a legacy to carry forward. The fog would always be her ally, the old ways would always guide her, and no shot would ever be impossible again. Because she'd learned the greatest lesson her father ever taught: patience, precision, and honor are timeless. And those who master them become legends. If you believe that courage has no gender and honor has no limits, comment honor below.